Hey guys, Matt DiTullio here, owner of DiTullio Art Collective. I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in and listening to the NSDC podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Another NSDC podcast. And this time we have a special guest. Sergio, introduce our guest, man.
Mr. Matt DiTullio.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. For sure.
Hey, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. We've been watching from afar. We're collectors. We enjoy the hobby, and we like to stay kind of in tune with what's going on. And you do some magic, in the collecting space. Who is Matt DiTullio, man?
Well, first off, thank you for the kind words. I'm a collector. We were talking a little bit about before the show. I just love to collect things. I've been collecting things my whole life. I still collect. I have like my original from a kid, Power Ranger action figures.
Oh yeah,
flip head, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger flip head joints. I have all of them still.
Nice.
I have all the Zords that I kept. Like I have one of my prized collection things that I have. They're worth nothing, but it's just very important to me. Is I have the Power Ranger toys that you got from McDonald's with Happy Meals.
Oh hell yeah! I remember as a kid that every Friday my dad takes I need another one.
And I went and got two, enough to get two. I had two sets, so there's 10 of them or whatever, and I kept 5 of them, basically perfect, and just set them aside. And at heart, I'm just a collector. Whether it's, I started collecting stuff with Power Rangers, then I moved into shoes. And I'm not a collector of what everybody else collects. I'm a very big proponent of finding your own way. Find your own thing that you like. Don't just buy this because somebody tells you that this is great. You gotta want it, or So when I started collecting shoes, I just love Kobe. He was my guy, and everybody was, buying Jordans and, doing well, but I just loved Kobe Bryant shoes, and I thought they were slick. I like low tops. I love Kobe. So I kind of I had I think 75 pairs. And then obviously he passed away, RIP Kobe. And I sold a bunch of them. And as I was, kind of doing that, I was also collecting Pokemon cards. So I, collected Pokemon cards for a long time. And, then I did some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, and then that kind of led me in my whole life. I collected comic books. I always read. I really started my passion for this whole art space and everything really started with comics. So I guess to answer your question, at heart, Matt DiTullio is just a collector, and then the business stuff is second. I always enjoy trying to make money or, doing well, but the first thing is I just have a passion for it. So that led me to where it was now. I was telling before the show, I sold my Pokemon cards and my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Plus I sold my comic book collection, and I did that. I sold those 3 things and was able to buy my house. So
nice.
I had a pretty insane comic book collection. I do miss them at some points, but then I realize I'm living in my house rather than looking through books.
What was the focus of that collection?
So my comic collection, I had Fantastic Four 1 to 112 CGC slabbed, and then I had from 112 to current, which was up until every Wednesday. I had every Fantastic Four issue that ever existed.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, my Fantastic Four number 5, because I know you guys are both. It's the book I missed the most, and it was easily the favorite book that I owned, other than the only one that I kept. My favorite character is Black Bolt, so I have Fantastic Four 46, which is the first appearance of Black Bolt. 9/6 signed by Stan, so it's one grade off of perfect, and it's there's only 2 9/8s that exist, but there's only one 9/6 that's signed by Stan, and I own it, so I own the only copy. But my Fantastic Four 5 was a 7/0 signed by Stan. It was an immaculate book. It was insane. It was a piece of history, man. Dr. Doom is, for me, maybe the best villain in the history of anything. Him and Darth Vader. I love Darth Vader. But Doom is just he's amazing. I love him. He's arrogant.
I want to assure the crowd that we didn't tell Matt to pump this, okay? That this wasn't
no.
this
No,
Like, this is not scripted. This is no, we're out of freestyle. Matt, you heard it here first.
if I would say like now it's extremely expensive, but like if you are looking for like an investment key book, like Fantastic Four 5 is the book that I would tell anybody to buy. It was unfortunately, I started off with a 2.0 in my collection and then I sold it and moved up. But it was now it's like I wouldn't, if I rebought it, I wouldn't buy a copy that high because of how expensive it is. But it's really like a piece of Marvel history, that book. So it was really cool owning that. And then I branched off and just started collecting some key books. So I had Amazing Fantasy 15, 3.0. My FF1 was a 5.0, so it's a beautiful book. I had AF 15, 3.0. I had my most amazing story from comic book collecting was I bought a CBCS Hulk 181 8.5. And I was like very in tuned to the market, and I was getting very good at looking at the condition of books, and it was just undergraded for sure. And I cracked it open, pressed it, and it went to a 9.6. And then I sold it. Nice. So it was like I made just a huge amount of money from just really finding the right copy. And it was very risky because it could have came back a lower grade, but I was very sure. And when I brought it to my presser, he was like, "Hey, this is a great book. Like it's got a good shot here." And I never thought it was going to come back. And he actually ended up using it for his business card. Like that's how big of a bump it was.
That's awesome.
It was like a $22,000 difference in pricing.
Yeah.
For like
what year was this?
This was 2019.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did you buy the like? What was the price of it when you originally got it?
I actually traded for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I traded a Hulk 181 plus a it was like a Hulk 181 7.0 and a some other like small Marvel key.
Oh man.
First Black Widow. Tales of Suspense.
Oh, okay.
Like a 2.0. Yeah. So we just did like a little trade. So he got a 181 and got another book. But yeah, so at the time I was watching the market and it just kept going up and up and up and up. And finally I just made the decision. I'm like, I'm just going to clean house literally. And I'm just going to cash in on my investments. And it was hard to do it, but I live in my beautiful house now. And it's, I always go back when I came back from when I sold my Pokemon cards. I had every single Pokemon card from 1 to 151 PSA 9 first edition. So I had the jungle set, the fossil set, everything. And I picked them up over many years of just going to shows and grabbing stuff. And when I sold that, I left a lot of money on the bone because I was in it so cheap. And the comic shop, I was like, listen, I'm just selling them all. Like, I'm not selling you just the Charizard or just the Blastoise or the Venusaur or whatever. And I remember being so nervous because he paid a lot to me in cash. So I had to drive back home with the money in the car. And I told him, I said, I got to keep the Pelican case because I had him in a Pelican case and I ended up putting the money in there. Yeah. And I came home and my last name, you might be able to get it, but I was raised in a very Italian household. My father is just a very we own our own business. My family owns its own business. And I was living at home at the time. So I was getting ready to buy a house. And my dad used to he would open up my mail. Like that's just like an Italian thing. And he would open up my eBay packages for the Pokemon cards. And he'd be like, you paid $400 for this. Like, what the hell? And we used to get into fights and stuff. And not like fights, but arguments. And listen, just whatever. And I remember coming back feeling like a James Bond villain. I opened up the Pelican case. I was like, what are you doing? Are you selling drugs? How did you? And I said, all that stuff that you told me was stupid and I shouldn't have been buying.
Yeah.
I sold it all. And he was like, oh. And then, of course, he's like, you need some money? You want to invest in Pokemon cards? I'm like, no, you can't come back in. You can't partner with me on it now. But it just opened up because I was always raised, you work really hard. I started working when I was 13, like my full time, born in a family business. I was always there. But, from the time you're 13, I didn't have a summer. Like I was working and always trying to help and made my own money. And even though he didn't like it, if I made my own money, my dad let me spend it on, what I wanted, obviously. And ended up working out great. But that's kind of selling my comic book collection. I took to some of my comic book, my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, my Pokemon cards, and that's what really jump started me into buying original art. So I put some of it down on the house, and then I invested in, like, started buying original art, and I got really serious with original art in 2015. So I've been collecting almost 10 years.
Nice.
It's been a journey. I never thought that I'd be working, with the artists that I'm working with now and where I am. And I'm very thankful, and just, kid from Buffalo that's super passionate about art and was able to somewhat make it happen. But, I'm never satisfied. I'm not done. I want to keep growing and really try to just keep delivering really great art to my customers. And even if not, like, I just love talking about this stuff. I'm super passionate about it. I think, I'm not an artist. I can color, I get a coloring book and use colors and screw around, but like, it's so impressive what these guys do. And, with what's going on now with AI art and computer generated art, like what we're seeing for these guys that are, cranking out this amazing art, it's just, I think it's something that should never get lost, of how talented they are and how much work they put in to create from a blank canvas or a blank board. And then, we get to see these amazing Marvel covers or DC covers or cards. And like, this is somebody's like blood, sweat, and tears that they like. And especially from working with them now, like both of the Simones, I can tell you, like, they're just like, they work like nobody else I've ever seen. They're so talented, but they're such hard workers. And like, when I represent them, like, I got to make sure that, like, that I got to always keep in mind, like, this is their job. Like, what I'm doing is helping put food on the table for their family, pay their rent, pay their mortgage, whatever. And like, this is, very important to them. So I try to take pride into it and really understand that, like, this is something that, like, they put hours or weeks of their life into it to create for us. You know what I mean? It's a really cool thing when you take a step back and you understand that, like, this is what they do full time, and they're just amazingly talented. So I'm very thankful. And that's why I really got more passionate into original art. Like, comic books are great, but there's X-Men 1, there's 10,000 rated copies,
right?
But like, there's only one original page. There's only one original cover. And I think it's something as a collector that's what I really enjoy, is like knowing that this is the original that created this card, this book. Like, I have a comic book cover that I remember I ended up buying it. I passed on it in 2015 when I first started collecting, because the guy offered it to me for like $2,500, and I was like, absolutely not. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll pay. And I ended up going back and I paid like $6,000 for it at an auction, many years later. But I remember it was the very first issue to Black Bolt when he had his own series. And
nice.
I remember buying it like at the store, and I was like, yo, they're doing my man. Like, this is amazing. I can't wait. And it was covered by Christian Ward. And like, I remember that feeling of just buying the book and like seeing it, and then knowing that, like, now I have the original that was printed hundreds of thousands of times to comic book shops all across the United States. Like, it's a very cool feeling. It's a cool collectible item. And when I started really amassing my collection, of course, I realized there was a business side of it, but I started realizing some of these artists that I really loved their art, I couldn't find how to buy it. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know. It was like a very odd space. And there was reps, and there was companies, and then there was artists that just worked by themselves. And then there was all these different things. And I really saw like a gap there. And that's kind of where I decided to like insert myself and try to start going, is because like, it's just about exposure. It's just about having someone that's passionate about your stuff and being educated on it. And the best part about original art is that there's one. And if you want it, this is it. There is no I'll get it later, or I'll find another one, like a book or something. Like, this is it. And this is the one that made tens of thousands. So this is it. And it was really cool to me to start getting to know some of these artists, and seeing how long stuff took, and how hard and painstaking their work is, and how amazingly talented they are. And then I started just kind of thinking like, well, man, maybe I should like especially, well, at least with Simone Bianchi, his sister Gloria is his art rep, and she's amazing. She's just the best. And Simone only comes to New York Comic Con like once every third year. And I just remember being like in awe watching him paint, and like he was just so good, and like it was hard for me to find his art. So like when I got to meet him, it was like amazing. But then I had like a stashed away fund for like when I was gonna meet Simone or when I was gonna do it. And thankfully he's very kind and very open. And throughout, I was buying things from Simone and Gloria through their website. But like I found out that it was better. Like I set a reminder in my phone, and I think kind of, how I got here, or like my motto is like, I'm just gonna outwork everybody. So I would put an email on my phone, and every month I would email Gloria and just ask her like, what's new? Like, is there anything new in the studio? Every month on the same date, I would have a reminder go off, and I was buying stuff before it got to the website. And eventually I was like, damn, like I have so much of this guy's artwork. I love it so much. Like I bet you there's other people like me, and that would love his art. And shout out to, he's in some of the card groups and stuff, but a very close friend of mine. His name's Otis Arterberry. He's my tattoo artist, but he's also just a very close friend. And he introduced me to Simone's artwork. I was getting a tattoo in his shop. I went in to get a tattoo from a different guy. I truly, like, I don't know, like religious, whatever, but like fate, whatever. This was meant to happen. This dude had to leave early that was going to do my tattoo. And the tattoo shop owner was like, you cool with like another guy doing it? I said, yeah, sure. He goes, all right, you can have Otis do it. I walked into his like little room in the shop. I instantly felt at home. He had like all cut out comic book pages, all pinned around the room.
Man, that's awesome. He's a comic book fan already. Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like this guy's awesome. And if you know Otis, he looks scary, but he's the nicest dude. Got a tattoo on his face.
I think I've seen him on some of the lives when you guys are at cons. Like he's
he looks super intimidating, and he's the type of dude that would give you the shirt off his back. He's just been a longtime friend of mine, and I saw this splash page of like Wolverine fighting this guy, this big burly dude with some claws, and I'm like, hey, so I start talking, and I'm like, if you don't mind, like, who's Wolverine fighting over there? He was like, oh, you don't know who Romulus is? I was like, no, because it came out before I started collecting comics. And he said, it's one of the best Wolverine stories. It's called Wolverine Origins, and it's written by Simone and Jeff Loeb. I was like, I'm already in, because I love Jeff Loeb. I don't know who this Simone guy is, but like, let me in. He opened up his cabinet and he gave me the trade paperback. I just met him. Like, he was like, just take it home and read it. That's awesome. I was hooked. So I started going from there, and, shout out to Otis, because he knew Simone and he had some pieces from him. And I kept telling him like, oh man, I think I should, maybe do something. Like I put together a business plan. Like, I feel like I could really make Simone's work so much more known here. And while he was doing my Winter Soldier arm, we had a lot of time to talk. And finally he was like, hey, and I said, well, he goes, don't take this the wrong way, but like, you've been talking about this for like a year and a half. Like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. You just got to do it. And he really pushed me to do it. And I did. And Simone and Gloria were very open to the idea. And we started working together in 2020. And it's been an amazing 4 years. But if Otis wouldn't have given me that push, I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest.
Shout out to
I was
Otis.
so nervous. Sure. And like, I just was afraid that they were going to be like, who's this kid? Or, why would we do this? And throughout the relationship, I'd been buying from them for about 4 years then. And I think they just took a leap of faith with me. And I told them, I said, listen, I'll work for the first year for free. Like, you can just pay me, whatever. I don't care. But like, my main goal is like, I just want your stuff to be more seen, because it's like so amazing.
For sure.
Yeah. And the rest was history. So I was very, very thankful that I got Otis to do my tattoo that day instead of the dude that was supposed to do it, because it changed the trajectory of stuff that I was going to be doing in the future.
That was amazing. And just going to Bianchi, when I jumped in the card hobby, it was 2021 probably. When I first saw his artwork in 2018 Masterpiece, I was like, whoa, what is this? This is different. And like you said, like there was a lot of us who were on the outside. I didn't even know it's possible to get a piece by him done. A lot of us just didn't know like it was accessible to get a piece by an artist like that done. So yeah, I remember you had the US side, right? You repped
Yep.
for him on the US side and creating some opportunities. I remember the first which shout out to Will and Tim and I think Lewis were part
Yep.
of the first dinner that you guys did. It was amazing to see. But yeah, Bianchi's special. I don't know, there's something about Bianchi that when I see him and I see lives of him paint on the Instagram, because I appreciate those videos too.
Yeah.
It's man, he's making magic. I don't know how he processes the colors that he's blending in like real time. It's crazy.
I'll give you a very short story. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my whole life.
Mhm.
I've been to U.S. Open semifinals, basketball games, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it, just watching Simone. This was the coolest thing. So first off, Simone Bianchi was born to be a painter. He wasn't born to do anything else. Like he was God put him on the planet to paint. Like I saw at his parents' house his first ever painting. He was 3, and like they
Oh,
kept
wow.
it. And his dad's an artist, so he just grew up around paint, around art. And he
Mhm.
thought it was like normal when he was like 6 or 7 to like go home and like just start painting with your dad, where other kids were like watching TV or playing soccer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was what he did. And then he found out when he was like 10 that like, hey, not everybody else does this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing, some different stuff here. And the painting he did when he was 3, it's just like an abstract, like, it's just like a doodle. It's better than anything I would ever paint in my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
but he hosted back to the impressive thing. He hosted a artist workshop to learn. It was like literally paint with Simone. It was to learn from Simone in Florence. I flew to Florence and I attended the event, and it was hosted in Lucio Perillo, who's another fantastic. If you don't know Lucio's work, he's a fantastic Italian painter. All oils, so different than Simone because Simone always uses acrylics.
Right.
But there was about 10 people, and one of the people that came was Simone Dimio, the other artist that I now rep, which
Oh wow.
I did
Nice.
not. And Simone Dimio only works in black and white. He worked pencil and ink.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I got to come and learn from the best. Like Simone is one of the best painters. I want to start up in my game and maybe start painting in the future. And so I really got to spend some time with him then, but everybody got to pick their own character of what they wanted to paint. Everybody did their own thing. And Simone would go around and, first they started with the pencils but then he was helping them with the painting.
Yeah.
And it was so crazy to what you were saying about how he mixes the colors or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people were using this brand of paint. Some people were using gouache. Some people were using acrylics. Some people were using like a little watercolor because he wanted to have it like freedom of whatever they wanted to use or, whatever technique. And when they would bring their painting over to him and he would help them, he could instantly match every single other person's painting with the paint palette he had. It looked like it was insane. He took 10 paintings and he would just look at it and then look at his board and just start mixing. Cause like some of them were, like not a direct one. He had to make it.
Yeah.
And he would just make the color and put it on their board. And it looked like he walked over and took their paint and put it on. It was like, I didn't realize it until about the 4th one. And I was like, holy crap, like he's mirroring everybody else's work immediately. And like I asked him about it after and he was like, I don't even like think about that. Like it just happens.
It's
like,
just part of his process.
I could just make it. And I was like, it was one of the most impressive things I ever saw because he never paused and like the gears turned or anything. He was just mixing paint and it was whatever shade of brown was Wolverine's costume on the one, that Simone made it. The one was a Ninja Turtle and it was green. He made the green. Like one was the kid did the Flash. It was like this 14-year-old kid who saved up money and his dad dropped him off in Florence so he could learn how to paint from Simone.
Oh, wow.
And there was this yellow with like watercolors because he was doing the Flash. And like Simone didn't have yellow, but he somehow made it to make it. It was like it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, it that part of it's like magic. I don't know. I went to art school and I've drawn. I've never painted, but see him do it in real time, and then you like just the progress, seeing how he develops certain shadows, and you don't know where he's going, but he has a plan at all times.
Oh, he sees it before it's done. He
Yeah,
knows when
yeah,
he
he
starts with a
visualizes.
blank
You can
piece of
tell.
paper. He's like, I know exactly what it's going to look like. It's just going
Yeah,
to take me a while to get there.
yeah, man.
And it's like to have that type of vision. It's pretty great. It's like a very unique ability. And one thing about Simone that I love, that's maybe a little different than a lot of the other artists, is he's like a fine artist that just happens to paint Marvel heroes or DC stuff.
That's what it feels like. For sure.
He is truly like a Renaissance man when it comes to like, I'm a very big, like I said, collector, but I'm also like a history buff. I love like learning about things and what got us here and how we did it. And like, he takes stuff that is like from famous Italian architecture, like the Pieta or the Duomo, which is a church in Florence, or a famous statue, and then he just paints it in Marvel characters. And it's like, if Simone, I asked him the other day, and he's just got an immense workload, but I asked him, I said, like, would you ever like love to paint like a landscape or like a body of water or whatever? He was like, oh, I would love to. Like, that would be amazing, but I just don't have the time. Like, but I wanted to see like if he ever thought, he was like, oh yeah, like I've done some of that stuff, and in the past, but like now I don't have the time. But I would love to see him paint like a forest, or like, just because it's just crazy. Yeah, I think whatever he decides to paint would be at the top level of whatever that market would be. Like he just has he has an immense talent. It's
he
really cool.
does very interesting world building too. Like you can tell it's a Simone painting just by the architecture is his own style. Like that's what really pulled me into 2018 masterpieces. And unfortunately, there wasn't a Doom card in there, which
no, shame.
That was and that's the one we really missed.
That was the one that, and if in my opinion, Simone's Doom is one of the best. It's one of his favorite characters to paint. He loves Doctor Doom. It was one on the do not use list, and it really hurt him because he loves painting the Silver Surfer, and he wanted to do the Silver Surfer for Marvel Masterpiece 2018, but he wasn't allowed to do it.
Yeah.
There was 3 that he really wanted to do that were on the list. It was Doom, Silver Surfer, and Gambit, and they were all on the do not use list. So
that would have been awesome.
But when I went to the gallery opening in 2018, I'd gone out to dinner with Simone, and we obviously weren't working together at the time, but I think sometimes people get lost in the card world of the fact that like it took Simone 9 months of his life nonstop painting to create that set.
Yeah,
like he gave all of us almost a year of his life, and it really was a year because there was like 3 months of pencils and preliminaries, and then there was 7 months or 8 months of really painting everything. And it was just, whenever there's a Marvel masterpiece artist, whether it's Dos Santos, Jusco, Palumbo, like if you like their art or if you don't care, they are giving us a big portion of their creative energy and time. And it's not a small feat to be a Marvel masterpiece artist. Like I hear people sometimes say like, oh, they should get this guy or this guy. I'm like, brother, they don't work, like they can't work like that. Or not, maybe they don't want to, because it's such a demanding, like Simone was basically silent in the Marvel community other than like 2 or 3 covers for a year. And like normally he's doing 20 covers a year, and he just couldn't do it because he had so much to do. And he put his whole heart and soul into that set. There wasn't one bad painting. For example, like I'll give you like the card that I thought, in my opinion, I was joking around with Simone. I said the worst card in the set to me was Kingpin. And it was like a close-up. It was like kind of dark and moody. And then when I saw the real painting versus the card, I was like, this is not the card. This is unbelievable. Like what happened to Simone's set that was tough is it got very darkened.
Yeah, I do.
The upper deck, whatever. It just didn't. The cards didn't do the actual paintings justice.
Yeah.
And when I saw Kingpin in person at New York Comic Con, I was just like, holy crap. Like I would buy this paint. It was actually already sold. I was like, I would buy this. And I thought it was the worst card in the set, joking around. But like, it was a different experience when you got to see the paintings in real life. And when you have to take something that's 18 by 24, like a poster, and shrink it down to something.
Just lose a lot of detail.
It's just inevitable that stuff gets lost, you know? And I actually joked around with him because his 11 by 17 ones and his A4 ones, the 9 by 12s, they actually had more detail because on the card itself, because it was already smaller, so it didn't have to get shrunk down as much. But Simone just loves to paint. I always joke around with him. I say, you're a huge pain in my ass because you paint everything 18 by 24 or 16 by 20, and I got to carry around this big ass portfolio that where is 100 pounds because I said, can't you just paint A3? He's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, his stuff's amazing, man.
Well, I want to. So you collect Black Bolt, and I definitely got to say one of the. I don't know. I think I saw you posted as well, or you might have reposted it from Simone. But the Black Bolt with the finger on his lips. Wow. Do you have that image there?
Yep, I do. It's actually, I'll go get it. It hangs above my bed. I was on Simone's commission list for 2 years before he got to it. Yeah. And finally I told them, I said, listen, I'm flying all the way to, it was the first Lake Como, very first one. I said, I'm flying all the way to Italy, not to see, I love Bill Sienkiewicz. I love, Gabriele Dell'Otto. But I'm flying to Italy with my mother just to watch you paint and to get something from you. And he talked to Gloria and they were able to fit me in. And I would say I would wait another 2 years for another piece like that. He just did it. It was just, it's insane. And then he made it his, he does a sketchbook every year. And then he made it the 2019 sketchbook cover. So it became a published image. Yeah. So that's, believe it or not, that's the preliminary. That's it. It's just, it is like, it's just so powerful. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And Simone loves painting Black Bolt. So we have that in common. He loves the Inhuman King. You know who also Simone loves? And I tell him all the time, I'm like, brother, stop picking these characters. They're hard to sell. He's like, I don't give a shit. I love them. His Cloak and Dagger. He loves Cloak and Dagger. He loves them. Because the cloak, he can get very creative with the blacks and the purples and the movement. And then Cloak is, just a really cool character. But then he loves that Dagger is, if you ever notice, he always has Dagger, bright white.
The contrast between both.
He loves putting them together. And every time I say stop painting Cloak and Dagger, we sell a Cloak and Dagger painting, or we sell. He's like, see, I told you, people love Cloak and Dagger. But he likes Black Bolt. He likes Cloak and Dagger, Doom, and Wolverine. Those are his guys that if you ask him, he says, I love painting all of them, but those are the ones that I've seen him get more excited about. Recently, he's been on a Psylocke kick. He loves painting. He loves painting Psylocke.
Nice.
But yeah, he's just got it's been a culmination of his whole life of learning and trying. And the one thing I love about Simone that's very different, I think, I believe you said it, or I can't remember if somebody said it, but you immediately recognize his work. He has his own style. It's very unique to him. You never are going to be like, maybe that's a Bianchi. Like, if it's his work. And one thing that Simone said to me that has stuck with me about my own business with DiTullio Art Collective or art in general is that when he said this to me, I didn't get it at first. And the more I thought about it is he's always evolving. And what he said to me that kind of threw me for a loop. And then I really got it was, you have to be okay with being bad at something so you can get better at it. Like, don't just get to a spot where you're like perfect at this technique and then only do that, because that's when people stop collecting your work, because you're not bringing out the best of yourself. So you have to be okay with trying and being bad so you can get good. And that is tough, because it's our natural thing as humans to just want to do what we're good at, and
not challenge yourself to that extent.
Exactly. And he has been painting his whole life. He just, shout out to Simone, it was his birthday last week, 52. And you know, he's been literally painting for almost 50 years, and he's 52, and he's always trying new techniques, new perspectives, new layouts, new composition. And I think that's why right now, in my opinion, in the last like 3 years, he's doing the best work of his career. And it's very hard, because sometimes you'll see an artist, at least for me, I've been collecting for a long time, and I'll see an artist's work and I'm like, it's been the exact same for the past 5 years. Like, this guy does this and he does it well, but that's all he does.
That's it.
It's full frontal, headshot, close up. It's amazing, but there's no variety. And yes, you're amazing at that, and that's awesome. I'm not taking it away, but if they tried something different and it became a cover or whatever, if that's how your work continues to progress, and people are always going to be on the lookout for your work, you can have your own signature, your own style, your own tendencies, but you have to challenge yourself. And at 53, 52, he's still challenging himself. Like, he's still creating new things, and I think it takes a special person to do that, for sure.
Yeah, and I think as card collectors, I know when Midnight Suns was released, I don't know if this was earlier this year or late last year, but his Black Cat on that set, it for me, it was like a 2.0. I don't know exactly what it was, but I just remember looking at that, and she's like laying down with her face going down, and the diamonds. It's just different. It was a different.
Are insane. In person, the diamonds are like quadra-dimensional. Like, they actually look like they're like off the canvas. The light, it was crazy.
Something about his geometry in that piece, of the lighting he did with the colors, it stood out. And then we've seen some of his other work, especially the last Flare set, where there's a lot of, I think is the Thanos with was it the death of, is it Captain America?
Death of Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, right? Yeah, that piece stunning. So yeah,
the one that got me, and it actually, I always joke around and say, like, he started me on a Scarlet Witch, like a witch hunt, because I now have my fiance. It's I'm very thankful to her. Shout out Robin. She supports me, and she really likes the Scarlet Witch. So we have a room in the house that I call the witch room, and that's where Robin's closet is and where she gets ready and stuff. And it's all Scarlet Witch art. And it really started with Simone. I walked into his studio, and I was there to, pick up some art and talk about the next convention that we were doing and spend some time with him. And the Scarlet Witch from Midnight Suns is one of the most powerful paintings I've ever seen. It looked like she could have walked out of the wall. Like, her body could have just appeared in person. It was like the most crazy. When I walked in the studio, I was like, what the hell is this? He was like, oh, isn't she great? Blah, blah. He always jokes around. He says, if I was modest, I'd blush, but I'm not. So it's and he starts telling me about her, and I was like, is this sold? He was like, you don't like Scarlet Witch? I was like, I don't care. Like, I have to own this painting. Yeah. And I ended up buying it from him, and it was supposed to be in Fleer Ultra Avengers. Is that what that is set?
Yeah. Yep.
Or something. Yeah. It was
that would have made sense.
And then it got backed up. So I had this Scarlet Witch painting for like 3 years, and I couldn't show anyone. It was like brutal. All I wanted to do was like post this thing, and it started like a big Scarlet Witch thing for me. And I think she's awesome. And I have a commission idea that I'm trying to get Simone to do. for me, probably in the next like 2 or 3 years. But I loved, one of my personal favorite Marvel movies was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I thought Wanda was just an awesome villain. I thought she played an amazing part. And there's this scene where she's like levitating with the Darkhold, and she's surrounded by all the candles, and it's when she dream walks. And I want Simone to do like her sitting like Indian style with the Darkhold in front of her and all the candles and like all the crimson behind her. And when I like pitched in the idea, sometimes I'll like give him the idea and he's like, I don't want to do that. I told him, he was like, I'll do it. He's like, let me figure it out when I can fit it in. But like, once I saw this Scarlet Witch and it was just a like a close up, from the one from Fleer Ultra or Midnight Suns, it's just a close up. I was like, I have to see like a wide full body shot, with like a cool scenery, and he really enjoyed it. And they actually asked him. He went to the premiere in Italy and he did a live painting when they premiered it in Italy because. One of his like most famous images, New Avengers 14. It's Doctor Strange with all the arms. And,
is that the one that they use on the PMG?
Yep, it's the.
That's. I mean, as soon as you said Scarlet Witch and that's what I thought. That's to me again, I'm biased.
I know the guy that owns it. He'll sell it, but he wants like $35,000 for it. Which, by the way, it's worth it. But I just won't pay it. It's too much. But it's one of Simone's best paintings of his whole career. It's just an absolute stunner. It's amazing.
And he's
and then they used it in the movie. They used it in Avengers. They have the scene where he's got all the arms and he's fighting Thanos. They used that. It's directly from Simone's cover.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. His gallery also, it was a gallery print, the Scarlet Witch, and I think it was a Vision, right? It was a pair.
I have them here. I own them.
Oh, yeah. Those are amazing.
They're amazing. Yep, amazing. They were the first ever gallery print that featured, 2 Marvel characters that were like individual, and they were San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. The Vision was $250 limited run, and you could buy it on the site. And then the Scarlet Witch was $99, and it was only available 99 print run. It was only available at San Diego, and same thing. I was at the studio. Funny thing about these pieces, this is actually, I'm glad you brought these up. It's a very good story. One of the scariest moments of my life. I was at the studio with Simone, and he was finishing them up, and he wanted to varnish it. Now he uses like a spray paint can varnish, and I bought them. So he was like, "You want to like really make them your own?" And I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "You can varnish the Scarlet Witch." And he was like, "No, either you do it or it doesn't get varnished." And we went out on this terrace, and I varnished. I watched a New Vision, and he taught me. And I was so scared. I thought I was like, listen, I just paid a lot of money for these. Simone, you just did it. He was like, nope, you got to do it. It'll be fun. Let's do it together. And he taught me how to do it. And it looks good. He ended up touching it up at the end and making sure it was good. But it was like one of the scariest things I ever did.
Yeah, I bet. It's like, what? You gonna make me do?
But that, if you know him, that's just the way he is. He is just he's just a fly by the seat of his pants guy. He loves doing fun stuff. And one of my favorite things that he talks about is like that he truly loves his job. Like he's blessed that he can paint superheroes for a living. And he doesn't have, like he says, I have, of course there's days where I don't want to work, but I never have a bad day at work because I love my job. So and it shows, you can see some artists now that, let's just say I always, there's like a term in the art community. It's called when you just mail it in. Like, it's just kind of like a quick work. You get it done. You just mail it in just to get it done and off your plate. And he doesn't mail anything in. If Simone is going to do it, he's going to do it to the best of his ability. And same thing with Simone Dimeo. One of the things I admire about Simone Dimeo for being a younger artist in his 30s is that everything he does, whether it's a 9x12 headshot at a convention or a double A3, 2 11x17s taped together commission, like he wants to do his best work and he wants to give the client the best of his ability so they want to come back. And I think that's super important for artists to realize that, like, how much fans really and collectors really appreciate that, because there's nothing worse than like getting a commission or something and you're not happy with it. And I'm very thankful to work with two guys that really give it their all each time.
And I
Yeah,
love
man.
the contrast between both of them. They have their own unique
I'm
style.
very lucky. So I
Yeah.
have a painter, bright colors, and then I have somebody that almost exclusively works in black and white. I give to Simone's credit. He's starting to work in some Copic Simone Bianchi. He's starting to work in some Copic markers,
Nice.
add in some color, and he's learning to paint. He wants to step out of his box, but they have a very unique skill set to each of them. And I remember watching Simone Bianchi at Toronto Fan Expo, and I literally commissioned him to do a piece, and I couldn't believe his work wasn't digital. That was number one.
Yeah, it does have that.
I couldn't believe it wasn't digital. And finally I knew he was going to be there. So I live very close to the border. I live 40 minutes to the border to Toronto, like 10 minutes to the border, 40 minutes to Toronto. I'm sorry. And I commissioned him, and he was very kind. He knew me through Simone, and I said, like, do you mind if I just like pull up a chair and just like sit next to you and like watch? He was like, of course. And how he gets the effect, like the gradient in the blur, is amazing. He gets a sponge that comes on like a wooden dowel that like a kid would use for like finger painting. And he literally has like a pen that is filled with like this super heavy liquid ink. And he just takes the pen and squeezes it onto the sponge, and then he rips off a piece. His hands get all screwed up. He rips off a piece of the sponge, and then he uses 2 Post-it notes to create like a barrier so it doesn't splash. And then he literally by hand like sponges, and then like sponges a little less, so you get this like super heavy ink to like a very light transition. And when I was watching him, I was like, nobody else is doing this. Like, this is like unbelievable. And I can't like, I'm like, when you do a cover, because he was doing like a 9x12 like torso, and I was watching how much work he put into it. I was like, when you do a cover, like, how long does it take you? He was like, bro, like 2-3 days. Like, I'm just like, when I like, you do a double page splash, like 4 or 5 days. And it's like, there are guys out there that just aren't doing that. They're not putting in that level of effort on every single thing that they do. And he really is. So big shout out to him, because I'm very proud of him that he takes everything as serious as he does and really wants to, deliver the best he can for each and every piece. It's super important.
Yeah. Let me ask you, when some of these artists that are out there, I mean, and not to be like, biased or unbiased, but like, could you name like maybe 2, 3 in the artist world that you're like super appreciative of, that you're just like, man, like,
of course I could name 100. There's so many, but my personal favorites, very biasly, I'll tell you, is Simone Bianchi, Simone Bianchi. And I'm not just saying that because I work with them. I just genuinely love their work, and I know how much time and effort they put into it. A guy that some people don't know, and it blows me away that people don't know him. I think he might be, he's not the best painter. He's not the best penciler. He's not the best inker, but I think he's the best at all of them. I think he's in the top 5 of everything. And he's probably one of the most talented artists ever, is Olivier Coipel. He is just a force to be reckoned with. He's a Frenchman. He's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. And he is just like, he'll stop Simone Bianchi in his tracks. Like, he'll just be like, holy shit, Simone will message me and be like, did you see this piece that Olivier posted? And I'm like, yeah, like, it's insane. I just got a Spider-Man piece by him. And like, Quan Chang is Olivier's rep. And Quan charges $20K for a painted Spider-Man cover. And I was able to get one in a trade, and like, I got it to sell, and like, I don't want to sell it. I love Olivier, and he's an amazing guy. Alex Ross, one of the best painters to ever live. Watercolor painter, Alex Maleev. Alex Maleev is one of the best painters you'll ever see. He is his Dr. Doom. One of the best.
Shout out to Leo, Free Comics. I know he's got a Maleev painting.
Maleev is
Doom.
insane. Assad Ribic, Assad,
Yeah.
brother.
Yep.
He is like, I don't know if you ever seen what he looks like too. It's amazing. He's about a 6'5", 350-pound Croatian unit. And then he picks up this little baby watercolor brush and is the most detailed,
Yeah.
amazing painter you've ever seen. He's absolutely cracked. Assad. He's wild. Who else do I really got? Oh, Dell'Otto. I mean, Gabriele is probably one of the best painters going. He is just, I have my table at Lake Como this year was right next to Gabriele, and watching him paint is just a treat. Him and Simone are like freaking frack. They're like two clowns. They're like very good friends. They were literally like throwing balls of paper at each other across the thing with Como, and like, but Gabriele can just flat out paint. He is his Spider-Man, I think, is probably I would choose Gabriele's Spider-Man over like Alex Ross.
Matt, tell them at the next Lake Como, tell both of them to collaborate on like a masterpiece. We wouldn't be upset.
They did something, and I know the owner of it. That's very cool. They did like a 11 by 17 or 16 by 20, and imagine like a diagonal line, and Simone did Spider-Man, or no, either Simone did Spider-Man but they combined on a piece, and it was Spider-Man and Miles, and it was like a commission. And the guy who owns it, his name's Hank Kwan, I believe, and he owns Bulletproof Comics in New York City, and he sells a lot of stuff for Gabriele, like his fine art prints and things like that. But Hank also has a couple beautiful Dell'Otto originals, and I remember when Simone was working on it, I was like, I want to buy this. And he was like, no, it's already paid for. Like Gabriele painted it first, and then Simone got it. And it was really cool. But it's funny that you brought that up, Sergio, because I am a big proponent of, I think the next masterpiece should have multiple artists. I would love to see
collectors, we would like that for sure.
Combination set.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get better quality art from each person that does it, and you're going to be able to get more big name people, because like I said earlier, I think the main downside to Marvel Masterpiece is that for the artist is that you basically can't do anything else. It's such a commitment that when it's an honor to do it, by the way, everybody that does it says they loved it and it was a big part of their life, but it's such a commitment to just do that for such a long time. I think it would be really cool if they broke it up, and you might get some guys that we would all love to see be able to do it.
Yeah. And as a collector, honestly, like it makes me happy to hear, like, obviously that these guys actually enjoy like that part of it, and they take that mission to say, hey, like, we're going to make this masterpiece set. We're going to do it in 9 months. I mean, listen, I know it's work, but I didn't know it was like, 9 months of it. So,
I mean, it's like, it is every day of your life for 9 months. You are, or at least Simone, I don't know how fast Palumbo was or how fast, Dos Santos is. I couldn't speak to that, but it's backbreaking work, man. It's like, Simone would take like 1 day off every month to, like, he loves to swim and like jump in his pool and swim. And then it was like right back at it. You know what I mean? And he actually came down to a time crunch, and he would have ideally liked to do every piece either 11 by 17, 16 by 20, or 18 by 24, but he had to do some of them smaller because he was just running out of time. Because it's just, you have to hit the deadline. You have to make sure you deliver. It's very important. But then, like, some of the smaller paintings that he did, like I have Gorgon, and because I love the Inhumans, obviously, and Gorgon's one of the most detailed paintings in the whole set when you get to look at the painting. It's 9 by 12, but it's insane. It is like absolutely wild how much he could put into a 9 by 12. It was just, it's crazy.
And for sure, I know we're thankful to you too, Matt, because you made this possible for us. I know.
Sheesh.
This is Sergio's. Sergio, talk a little bit about this.
Hey, obviously, big shout out to Matt. I think he reached out to me, and he kind of asked me about this piece at 2023 Comic-Con. And I mean, obviously it was a no-brainer. And I remember going up to the table, and obviously I never met Matt, prior to that. So I walk up and I'm like, hey, like the Doom book, and he's like, and like, I showed him the text, and he's like, oh man, like, of course, dude. And you know, when you said you know, I think we were talking before when you like went to buy the book and you went and it was gone.
Yeah.
Like I thought that had happened to me. Like at the Comic-Con, I was like, oh my god, you know, like I missed out on the piece. But like, man, when I got my hands on that, not really caring about the grade initially when I, if you remember, it had like the sleeve on it
Yeah.
prior to that.
Yep.
I just shipped it in just the way it was, man, and it hit that. And man, like, I mean, thank you, Matt. You know, that's a piece of collector that
one of
it
the
just
things I
doesn't
try
go.
to do that is it's a perfect story of this is I'm very organized, I would say. I have a spreadsheet and I just have people's names or their Instagram handle or whatever and what character they collect. And I find that it's, especially as a collector, it's one thing I actually learned from the Marvel card group, which made my wheels turn to implement into my business, is whenever somebody would post a Black Bolt card, somebody would tag me. I'm like, why is nobody doing this for their customers for art? Like, why is nobody like, so if I know you like Dr. Doom, or if I know you're a Psylocke collector, if I know, like, one thing with me too is like, I always say, and if I've ever said it to you and you didn't feel that way, I apologize. But like, I always reach out. I'm like, no pressure, but like, I just want to let you know this is coming in the pipeline and like, it's available if you want it, because something to me that I really enjoy is like knowing a piece like this going to like the perfect spot. Like, I know it's right in your wheelhouse. I know you're a big Doom guy. So like, it feels good for me to like help somebody get their character by an artist they love. Or so I just log a running spreadsheet, and when I see something, I like go to my spreadsheet. I'm like, oh, you know, Sergio loves Doom. We got a sketch coming, or there's an op or something like that, and I just send it off. And if you buy it, great. If not, no problem. But like, I think that's something that maybe gets lost sometimes by some of these art dealers, is like they just kind of throw it up on the website and they're like, hey, whoever sees it, sees it. But if you give somebody like a personal touch or a message, I think it goes a long way. And then it hit a 9.8, dude. I mean, that's awesome. That's just, it's perfect.
Yeah, like that's that when I saw that, I just like, you know, it was just like, man, like I thought about keeping it raw. I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it, like, because I was doing a bunch of grading, and you know, in retrospect, if I would have kept it raw, it still would obviously be just as dope. But like that is just like, that's just
Man,
crazy. That's
perfect.
PC, you know.
Yeah,
Man,
fits your collection too. I mean, you have a foreign comic book collection with all the Doom covers. It just makes sense too.
You know, I don't know if you know this. Obviously, like, you know, with it's in the territory, right? But I'm a big fan of Fantastic Four as well. What got you into Fantastic Four? Like, what was like the first like book that you bought?
It's a great question. So you're going to keep hearing me say this. I'm sorry, but I studied the market, and I felt that Fantastic Four is actually really undervalued. They are the first Marvel superhero team. They are the very first one ever. And when you look at the Fantastic Four run, the amount of mainstream A-list characters that debuted in the Fantastic Four is second to none. They debuted some of the greatest characters in Marvel history. First Silver Age Submariner is Fantastic Four. First Doom. First Ulysses Claw. First Inhumans. First Black Bolt. First Medusa. First Black Panther. You know, like they just introduced so many amazing characters that went on to be just A-list amazing Marvel characters. And I didn't understand. I mean, dude, the Skrulls, Super Skrull, Mole Man, Molecule Man, like there's just so many characters that stemmed from the Fantastic Four. And I gotta be honest with you, I love the Human Torch. He's fucking awesome. He's super dope. Like, who wouldn't want to have the ability to turn into a supernova and fly around? And I liked Johnny because he was smart, quick-tongued. He was a little brash and brazen. And I remember reading the books and being like, I actually went and bought an FF omnibus, and it was like issues 1 through 50 or something, 52. By the way, first Silver Surfer, first Galactus. I mean, come on, like it's crazy. And like from Fantastic Four 36, which is first Inhumans, or first Medusa, I should say, to like 53, it's one of the best runs in comics. If you've never read it, it's absolutely insane. You get first Black Panther, you get first Black Bolt, you get first Medusa, you get first Inhumans, you get first Galactus, you get first Silver Surfer. It's just amazing. So I studied the market and I said, I'm just going to go in on these guys. This is going to be my wheelhouse. And I find with me, as an art dealer, I have to buy a lot of stuff, stuff that I know will sell or that are characters that are very collectible. But for me as a person and a personal collector, I have to limit myself because I can get very eclectic. I can just buy stuff because I like it. So I set myself with comics. I was like, listen, I'm going to stick to Fantastic Four and other major keys. That's it. Like that, that was what I did. So, I was seeing like X-Men 1 jump way up. I was watching, First Gambit, X-Men. I was watching Hulk 181. Like all these books were jumping it for some reason, like other than First Silver Surfer and Galactus and like First Doom. I felt like the books weren't getting the love that they needed, and I thought there was room to grow. So I really just decided to, sorry, I'm fighting off a sneeze. I just decided to go in on Fantastic Four, and I'm very thankful that I did, and I still think they're the original Marvel superhero team, and I'm very excited to see how this new series of Marvel movies that are coming out with them being the focus. And I just think they can do some amazing stuff with them, and there's so many things that can be done with the Fantastic Four because they can time travel. Reed can, he makes the ability to portal. I hope Franklin comes in. I think Franklin Richards is one of the most underrated characters in the history of Marvel. He's literally an Omega level mutant that can like fuck up the Scarlet Witch. And he's like, he's basically Wanda's power with Reed's IQ and Doom's abilities. It's like, he's insane.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, from what we hear, supposedly the Marvel space doesn't really like the comics. They're not really big into getting that type of lore into the movies. So, as a comic lover, it's upsetting for me because it's not like I'm expecting a script, like a photocopy script, but maybe if you threw a couple like references of some of the comic lore throughout this time, it would make at least some of the movie a little bit more palatable because this is what the story is supposed to be. But we can't always get our way.
I get that they want to put their own spin on and make it, but the guy who did it the closest, I think, and was really great was Jon Favreau. He did as close without having a lot of nods to the comics, but also making it his own. I just wish that sometimes, like you said, there was a little bit more of like lore tied in, because the comics are selling. They're very valuable and people collect them and they read these stories. So like if they just kind of mirrored what was there and didn't go off into oblivion in some of these cases and make some crazy stuff, like I get it, but I'm like you, it's like a little disappointing sometimes. But like for me, even Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, like I want to be very clear about something. When I saw the Illuminati in the theater, I was with Otis. We went to the movie together. Nice. And when I got to see Black Bolt on the screen for the first time, I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like elated. It was so cool to see. And then he blows his own head off. And like Black Bolt would never go out like that. Like he would, like if they read anything, I tried not to take it personal.
Yeah.
Because I love him so much. But like if you ever read anything about Black Bolt, like you have to understand this dude killed his family when he was a kid because he had a bad dream and screamed. And after that, he lost his family. That's how he became the Inhuman King. Was he killed his family accidentally, and he was the royal family. He was the next one, and he went through like years of training with like monks to make sure that he would never sneeze or he wouldn't have like. So to have him like be confused that his mouth was covered up and then say what and like blows his own out, that would just never happen.
Right.
Like so it's the same thing. Like, was it amazing to see him? Absolutely. Would that ever happen in any way, shape, or form? Absolutely not. Like that, it just kind of threw out like all of his lore and like what makes him really special. And like what I love about Black Bolt is, his nickname is the Silent King. Like think about that. He leads a race of superior beings that are the next evolution of mutants that are insanely powerful, and he never needs to speak.
Yeah.
He's able to lead an entire group, and everybody respects him. And so it was amazing to see. But same thing, it's just like, you know, the death was cool, by the way. Like, if you were a big Scarlet Witch fan, she just
Yes.
he rolled everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
she destroys all of them, but like,
Yeah.
that just wouldn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's unfortunate. And I'm hopeful that they embrace the history of the comics a little bit more. It's all set up there, and you know that's what fans want, just to embrace it a little bit more. Here's my piece, Matt, and you know, thankful for the opportunity to get a sketch. This happened with when Justin, I think you and Simone went on Justin's channel and announced sketch commissions opportunity. So that's, you know, that completed. All I wanted was a Doom Bianchi. That's all. You know, most of, like, even being here just 3 years, or you know, a little bit more than 3 years, that's the Grail, right? That to me is my favorite artist, my favorite character.
This one set like a couple Discord groups on fire, and a couple channels, I remember, because this is, I actually remember this piece being done, and Simone sent it to me, and this is just Simone being Simone. He was like, "Do you think the collector will care like about the smears? Because I love them." I was like, "Don't change it.
I
Like,
love it.
just
I
leave
love
it the
that
way it is." Like, he was like, "I just had this idea and I just went with it, and I turned out great. But then I thought, man, maybe I shouldn't have done it, because I know the card collectors really like to keep like everything like mint looking." I'm like, no, leave it just like it's insane. It's beautiful. Like, it's perfect. So, it's an amazing card, and like, I think some people sometimes forget, and this is where like Simone is very different. Like I said earlier, he's used to painting 18 by 24 like a poster.
Yeah.
And then when he does these cards, it's a complete gear change for him. Like,
Right.
before he starts these, like, I watch him. He'll take a piece of paper or like a canvas or whatever, and he has like a big ass rule. He doesn't use like a paper cutter, which drives me crazy, but he has this like huge ruler and like a razor blade, and he'll cut into like the size of the squares, and like he practices before he starts on somebody's cards, because like he wants to deliver. But he's got to get in the mindset of, now I'm in a very finite space,
Yeah.
and I don't have as much to work with, so I got to be more precise, essentially. And he's got to like work, and then once he gets in the groove, he can rip sketch cards off like very very well. But he has to take a couple practice things to like get going and get in this space, and then when he starts hitting his stride, you get stuff like this, and it's just like mesmerizing. It's extremely cool.
And the colors streaking off is one of my favorite parts about it. It also, like, when he's very, I don't know how you present it, but even applying the colors using his thumbs, and very tactile with how he paints. It's just awesome to see that there. And I know during this time, after those sketches were out, and I want to get your opinion on this. You know, there was a lot of, even recently, I think within the last year, this whole pack pulled versus aftermarket dilemma in the groups. You know, someone who represents these artists, and they're making these opportunities available. Like, how do you feel about that topic being a topic to begin with?
Do you want my honest opinion, or you want me to
Yes,
what everybody else says?
100%.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I don't offer the Simone sketch ops in that group anymore, because I try to tell people this, and you have to understand, like, this guy is doing posters for Tool, Smashing Pumpkins. He's doing exhibitions with 150 pieces in museums. He's doing Marvel covers. He's doing DC covers. He's doing trading card art. And when these opportunities come up and people want to devalue the artwork because it didn't come directly from in a foil packet, it's insane. It becomes not about the art, and it puts a negative connotation to Simone's name, and I'm just not okay with that. And I want to be very clear. I want everybody to collect on how they want to collect. I think you should be able to collect any way that you want. Once you own this, brother, if you took this and you this card on the screen and you cut it in half with a paper cutter, that's your call. That's what you want to do. If you're a cut it in half guy and that's what you want to do, go for it. It's not, who am I to tell you that?
Yeah.
Everybody should be able to collect their own way. But when people started saying that, like I said, negative things and having negative connotations to Simone's name because he was doing sketch opportunities on non-pack pulled blanks, it really like rubbed me the wrong way, because he really tries his hardest on every single one of these and he wants to deliver. And it's something, like, I want to be clear, it's something nice that he does. Yes, he makes money, but like, he's doing good. He's all right. Like, he doesn't need
No.
But I'm like, hey, Simone, this keeps us very relevant in this community. There's an immense amount of people that would love your work at this size. And sometimes it takes some convincing to like open up an op, because he, like I said, he pours his heart and soul into him. And when this whole argument like came up, like I'm just an art collector. So like, I don't care if it's on a napkin or stock from Michaels or an AP Marvel Masterpiece 2018 or a 2020. If it is beautiful art, it's beautiful art. And that's what he delivers. And when people started saying that, like, it wasn't good for the hobby that he was doing this, I was like, nah, like, we're just not going to offer him in those groups. And by the way, they can think that. That's their opinion. They're entitled to that. I have no qualms for that. But I can't have a negative connotation being attached to Simone's name, because some people feel that like he's devaluing sketch cards by doing that. Like, it's just an insane take. It's
a bizarre take, and again, people can feel that way, and I'm sure they have their own reasons. But
we know they have their own reasons.
Yeah,
I know exactly why, and that's the thing, is like, bro, I'm in all these groups.
Yeah,
I'm silently watching. I'm always all the receipts. You hear me say it a lot. I've researched. I got screenshots.
Yeah,
I know people that if an op ever comes and they ask, I'm going to send them a screenshot.
Yeah.
Like, not like we're not doing that. Like, a big thing that got crazy was when he did the Marvel Platinums and he didn't do the backs. That was Platinum, right?
No, I think that's the Premiere.
Premiere. This is what people don't understand, and it's you wouldn't if you didn't know. Like I always say, you don't know what you don't know. And number one, he got the card. I want to say something upper deck. They're not very organized. He got the cards very late. He got the card the booklets. He had like a week and a half to do all of them.
Oh man!
And he was going to not do them.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, and like I'm gonna be very honest, I didn't know that he wasn't gonna do the backs. Like I just said, no, you should do it. And his thought process was, let me just do these in the time frame that I have and let them go into the set so people can get my artwork.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do more of them with no back with what they sent me than do just 3 or 4 front and back, or 2 front and back. Yeah. So when that came out and all that stuff, like, I remember what he was doing at the time. He was doing a Smashing Pumpkins poster. He had an exhibition going on. He got the cards. He had 12 days to do them and mail them back. And then people are like bad mouthing him about it. And like I told him, I said, moving forward, if you're not going to do them front and back, you don't have the time, just don't do them at all. And that sucks for the community, in my opinion, because I love seeing his work. But when people are going to talk like that, and like, by the way, I want to be very clear, like, he didn't know he was supposed to do the backs on, like, he just didn't, like, that's not like he didn't know that everybody did the front and the back of each one. I think he thought like maybe somebody else, it would be cool to have it blank on the back so somebody else could do something. And it was also a time thing. But like when people started saying that, I'm like, it's not just Simone, these other artists, like they're doing amazing things in other areas, and for them to like stop and do this and put it in the set and have their name on the checklist, like it's very cool to have an artist like Simone doing that type of stuff. But if the community is going to take it and run with it and make like him out to be a bad guy because he didn't do that, like, then we just won't do that. It's very simple.
Yeah. And it, as a collector, it's upsetting to hear when people take those shots, but also his name was a selling point in that set. People pre-ordered boxes because his name was there. So hearing that he only had 12 days to do it, it's just ridiculous.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you something. Like I still have not seen. Remember, like I don't know what set it was from. It's like Venom coming out of the egg.
The Avengers card. I was gonna ask you about that. He autographed. I know there's like a video he put on Instagram.
I have no idea where they're.
Mm.
Wow.
I have no idea where they're. I watched him sign him. I watched him mail back. Never seen him.
That's crazy. I wonder how much.
I've seen him sign some other cards too that have happened with that. I don't know where they're. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Bro, they don't give him a jacket. They don't give him a hat. They don't give him. He don't get his own set. Like the only thing I'll say about Marvel Masterpiece was they gave him uncut sheets. They gave him like 3 or 4 uncut sheets, and I think 6 boxes. But like for these like Midnight Suns and like these other sets, like Marvel, he did like they don't know where they go. There's no timetable. There's no like. It's just it's a very big cog, and I think sometimes things just fall through the cracks. And I wish people maybe like before they start. And I want to be clear, like if I pulled the Simone thing and the back wasn't done, I wouldn't be upset because that's just me. That's the way I feel. I understand that other people may be upset because that's a very high. From what I understand, it's a very expensive set.
Yeah, it's an expensive set. Yeah.
But also you're getting a very rare piece of art. Those were like this. I think that's only the 2nd or 3rd time that he's done big panel booklets, like odd panels. And like, by the way, like I said, I keep the receipts. All the people that were doing the bitching and complaining, they're the same ones listing them on eBay for $8,000, for $7,000, for $5,000. I'm like, you must not be complaining that bad because you're trying to make 100x what you paid for the box. So like, if you got a piece of his art and it was in there, like that's an amazing thing. Like now we just won't do the sets unless the time requires it. And then we'll save the blanks and he can do them. Like I've even had some people say like, well, is that AP, is it, he wasn't even on that set. Like Simone has APs from sets he wasn't on because he didn't have the time. They sent him the cards. He didn't do it. He couldn't do it.
Right.
So he has APs from sets that he wasn't on. And they're like, he's not on the checklist and the official handbook. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's insane.
Well, let me know, man. Let me know about those APs. You know, if you got some lying around.
He's closing up a sketch shop that we opened. He did 20 this time, and they're going to be delivered at the end of August. And I think we're going to shoot to try to open one up around Christmas.
Nice.
Will probably be delivered. So like we'll open it up in December, and tentatively, and they would be done by like the end of January or February when he comes back for OAX 2025.
Nice.
So, but like there's not a ton of opportunities for a guy at his level to do, high-end painted sketch card commissions. And every time they go up for sale, I'm very thankful. We've always done a sellout. Everybody, and it's one thing that's very a big proponent of me. I think I've done 3 of them, and I always do it on a different channel each time. So like one time I did it in the Marvel Masterpiece group. One time I did it in the Hobby Hangout. One time we did it on Justin's channel, because for me, I love like a guy like Pankit. Shout out to Pankit. He's got one of the best Simone Bianchi sketch collections in the world. And I want him to always get one, but like, I always want to give the opportunity to a different group for other people to have an ability to acquire something that is very, that they're very passionate about from an artist that they really like. So for me, it's very important to make sure that we're spreading the love around the community and that other people are getting opportunities. For me or for Simone, it doesn't matter where they go, kind of at the end of the day in some cases, because the money still comes in and he gets paid for him to do. But like, for me, it's a very important thing to understand that like, we want to make sure other people can see his work. We want other groups to understand and have a chance. And some people might have missed it or not seen it. So I always try to do it in a different group, or maybe just on my Instagram page or whatever it is, because I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity. And it's really cool that he still honestly does them. I tell him every time that we do it, I'm like, thank you for, doing this. He's like, man, it's no problem. Like, I enjoy these, but like, he could not do them, which is one of the things. So it's been really cool to see the ones that he's created throughout the years. And it was a very new thing for him. He had never done a sketch card in his whole life until 2018, and he had been painting for 50 years. So, there's not an immense amount of, Bianchi sketch cards out there. Maybe 100 in the world. I don't know, to 200 maybe at the most, the very most. But it's cool to see. And for me, that to the end of the day is, it's all about the art. I don't care if it's published. I don't care if it's not published. I don't care if it's on a 8.5 by 11 computer paper, or if it's beautiful, I like it. And I don't care if it's on a sketch card or a canvas or whatever. And I understand, like I said, everybody collects different, but that whole argument really it got out of hand to me.
Yeah. As primarily card collector, and I think sometimes we fall in the rabbit hole of only looking at that format and that card format, where it becomes way too centric about that only, and we're ignoring commissions, we're ignoring, the way you actually get some of these creators to draw in cons, right? It's whatever format they provide. And I think now, after being there a couple while, I am starting to go into commissions too, not just cards. Like, cards are cool, but sometimes I think we just get too obsessed with that format, and that's how these discussions arrive, and then you get crazy takes by people, and it's all tied to value, which is a whole thing that has nothing to do with the art, right? Like, at the end of the day.
And by the way, I'm all in for people making money, guys. I think you make that money, do your thing. Once you own it, it's yours. You want to shred it like a Banksy, do your thing. Want it when you own it, it is yours. And you should have the ability to collect, to create, to curate your own vision of how you want things. And like, I use this example a lot in I apologize if you've heard me say it on another podcast or something, but I love this. I know a guy who just collects hands. It's the craziest thing. He just gets from here, like arm and hand. And he reached out to me and he was like, hey, I'd love to have Simone do a commission for me. He's like, I want like a forearm, and I want it to be Wolverines with bone claws. And I'm like, what in the world is this request? Like, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
I start talking to the guy. I get to know him. Bro, he's a hand surgeon. And he puts them all through his office. I was like, I'm never going to tell or think, even in my own mind now, like, why? Because somebody's got a reason. And like, dude, if I walked in to get and I've had wrist surgery, it's like one of the only things I've ever broken. Like, if I walked into my surgeon's office and there was like a Deadpool hand with a sword, a Wolverine hand, like a Storm with the glove on, a Mike Mignola Hellboy arm with the hand to do him, I would be like, this is the dopest hand surgeon of all time. I love this guy. And it really opened my eyes to understanding that there's all different ways of collecting, and there's all different avenues. And you should never, and this is obviously just my opinion, but I wish more people had this take, not to sound self-centered, but you should never narrow your view of how to collect, because it's not how you collect. We're all in this hobby together. It's a very big community, but it's also very small. There's a lot of cliques. There's a lot of people trying to sway things in different directions. And one of the things that I try to do with DiTullio Art Collective, and it's in like my mission statement, is like, I want to connect great art to great people. That's it. That's what I want to do. No side missions, no side quests, no hidden things. Like, and if you want an arm because you're a hand surgeon, or you want a sketch card, or you want a poster, you should be able to get whatever you want, how you want. And if the artist is willing to do it, obviously, and you should be able to build your collection like that. And I've met some amazing people that have some amazingly unique collections. And I feel like sometimes when we just, like you said, narrow into a certain format, like it's tough, because just because you don't collect that way doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just not your forte. You know what I mean? It's just not. And
you also, like, if you said, like, people were saying about the aftermarket sketches, and I had a Bill Sienkiewicz Doom that I got, and I was happy
I
about.
remember. I know exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
By the way, I didn't get to keep going on my list because I said I could have named 100, but Bill Sienkiewicz is one of my favorite.
Yeah,
artists.
no,
He's,
for sure.
He
And
is.
Did you see that?
He's a master.
Yeah.
Did you see that the recent Poison Ivy that he posted?
Mm-hmm.
He recently posted this Poison Ivy, and it's just like, wow. Like,
that means, hold on. I have like a personal collection. I have 2 pieces by Bill that I've only posted one, but I'll show you the other one.
Awesome.
Because it's amazing.
Yeah, and to that point, like I received it, I was happy, and then someone's over here criticizing. I'm like, man, think about the collector who owns the piece. Like, you're kind of making it. Why are you bumming out their day? Just if you don't embrace the way they collect, just leave it alone. It's not for you. It's not for you.
No,
I mean, they're just protecting their bag. You know what I mean? They're like,
exactly. And hey, no problem, but like let's not dump on each other. You know what I mean? But here, this piece is it's absolutely absurd.
Wow.
Oh wow, that's easy. Oh,
she is just. I mean, it's just crazy. And I love that, like, he signed it in white, so it kind of
that white stands out. Yeah.
But this piece is I was on Bill's commission list for a long time before I could get this level, because he'll do like sketches and like cards and stuff at shows, but like he's not taking like cover quality stuff like this very much anymore. So one thing that the art hobby has really taught me is to be patient, and sometimes patience pays off. But like, for example, we were talking about like what do you buy, or whatever. Like, I was at New York Comic Con last year, and I was flipping through Alex Maleev's portfolio, and I was like, oh, what's this? He was like, oh, I don't know how that got in there. Give me it back. I was like, no. Like, and he was like, oh, this is my summer house in Bulgaria. That's where Maleev's from. And he was like, it's just a very special place to me, and I wanted to paint. I said, is this for sale? He goes, you would want to buy this? I said, no, I don't want to buy it. I'm gonna. Like, what's the price? This is beautiful. And he was like, maybe I should start doing more stuff like this. And I think sometimes we forget that, like, they don't just have to draw superheroes. But like, look at this little like landscape marsh.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
By Alex. And he just said, he was like, I was just bored one day, and I saw that, like, this point of view, and I thought, man, I have to paint this. It's beautiful. So he went and got a board, and he popped open a chair, and he painted it sitting looking at this. And like, I just thought it's a work of art. And I don't collect landscape art, but I saw it and I was like, this is just crazy. This is so good. And I think sometimes yes, I have my sweet spots. I have Black Bolt, Death Dealer, Dr. Doom, Scarlet Witch. I have a little Predator collection. Namor, nice. I've recently started because I've really gotten into Silver Age Namor. But like, you should also buy stuff because it's beautiful and you like it. Like, it doesn't need to be, not everything you need needs to be like just in this. And I think I'm very jealous of collectors that can do that are laser focused and only buy, one thing. But I think it also limits you. You're not observing some other astonishing art that's out there because it's like not in, right in your wheelhouse, essentially. I saw if you brought up the website. The website is going under a little bit of a renovation soon. And I'm actually going to be doing a show this Wednesday with Bill Cox on Comic Art Live. I'm going to be doing a make an offer show on the website. So anything on my website that you want, you just write an email over to Bill and feel free to make me an offer. So I think it's really cool to also try. Let's face it, the hobby's very expensive these days. Yeah. And I want like I said, I'm all about making money. I'm all about, trying to, be successful. But I also think it's okay to not make double your money on everything sometimes and get some amazing art into some people's hands. I think a lot of people differ from me on that. They will hold and hold and hold until they get their number, and that's fine. I think something like a make an offer show is really cool. Hey, I just added that one, that Batman, Mr. Freeze, and Catwoman prelim. That's Neil Adams, and that was done for an amusement park ride. And it's really just a super cool. It's a full Batman on like a piece of like clear vellum, and then under that is the original art with Mr. Freeze and Catwoman. And like, you don't see stuff like that anymore. Yeah. Like, because it's all
It's layered. Yeah,
It's
it's all layered.
up, and I just thought it was so. And I don't collect Batman stuff. I'm not a DC guy.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Simone Bianchi. He did make me buy my first Batman piece of artwork because I just thought it was so stunning. But like, you just don't see stuff like that, and that's like a cool piece. Like, you're not going to find Neil Adams artwork, with 3 full characters on it for $700 anywhere else. Like just, you might get a profile headshot on like that paper he did it on for 500, but like, this is 3 full characters, and it was for a published amusement park ride. Like, it was at an amusement park. So I just think that piece is really cool, but
unique too.
So I got the art show coming, and then whatever doesn't, I doing the make an offer plus a 40-piece art drop. And whatever doesn't sell on the show will then go onto the website. So the website's going to have about, I just added 20 pieces 2 nights ago. I did a little secret update. I added that Ed McGuinness Black Panther you see right there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I added some new stuff, just like a little secret drop. I didn't even like publicize it. I just kind of put it out there, and then I'm going to do the make an offer show, and then do a big update. And I got some really cool new stuff coming. What are you guys' thoughts? Let me ask you guys a question. Mm-hmm. What about that Black Panther right there by Sean Crystal? If you could click on that one, it's a really cool piece. What are your guys' thoughts on like Marvel Snap art? Do you guys play the game?
I played it for when it first came out. I really loved. I love that this is an option. It's a digital game, but you can get the original art for a
That's
digital
right.
game.
I think it's cool. Like, it's published, but not maybe like physically published, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like, if this was a comic book cover, Sean would probably charge $3,000.
Yeah, it presents a different price point.
Like a published piece, but not at that super published like rate. And I think it's like cool that Marvel Snap is actually having a lot of people do traditional art for their digital game.
Yeah,
I think they could have a lot of dudes just do all digital or just reuse all old covers and stuff, which I've seen they've done in the past. But like, I think it's cool that they're reaching out to artists and having them do traditional art for a digital game. I think it's dope.
Yeah, I follow artist Maria Wolf.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Yeah, she's awesome. Which I'm getting my first commission is going to be with her. I signed up for a Last Ronin because I'm a huge Turtles fan. So
nice. I got one on the site. Make me an offer. It's by
I see it. Yeah, some Scorza Brothers pieces for sure. But
you ever seen them work?
No, Sergio actually got a sketch card from me, so he saw them up close.
It is one of the craziest things to see in person, bro. They are a hive mind. Like, one of them will do the pencils, and then the other does the inks, and then the other does the inks, and the other does the pencils, and they all look the same. It's flawless. It all looks like it comes from one guy, and they're doing them all. This Dr. Doom that Simone just did with the shadow for that was done at OAX. It's one of the cool. It's insane.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What size is that? Does it say there?
11 by 17. And then the one next to it is one that I have. It's in my personal collection, but I just put it up for sale at a lower price point. It's 13 by 19, but the art is 11 by 17. And
see,
so
what's crazy to me, like, we're talking about the pack pulled and that whole argument, right? And to your point, like you said, you go back and that other Bianchi head sketch is $2,000.
Yep.
So I've seen people pay pretty close to that amount as well for some sketches. So you're telling me like 11 by 17 by a manufactured card, or something like this. Like, come on, guys. Like,
being focused in that card format, you miss out on, a bigger piece, that you
like somebody just sent me. I love it because like I love the card community guys, like that are my boys. Like I don't know, I love Fausto. He's like he's like just a great guy, and he just sent me a Black Bolt like sketch card that somebody posted on eBay, and they want $2,000 for it. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna buy an 11 by 17 headshot. I'm just not doing it. Like, it's just. And by the way, that's just not how I collect. But I'm sure somebody will pay that, and they'll get it, and good for them. But like, I to be honest with you, I don't have one sketch card from Simone. I don't own one.
Yeah, no,
it's just not. They're just not for me. Like, now, if you go down one more and to the right. That's something that you like that I own that I sold and I miss it. I want it back. I know the guy that owns it. I'm trying to work a trade with him. Like Hulk 181 recreation by Simone. Like,
that's awesome.
Look at Wendigo, dude. I mean, in this piece in real life, it literally like the texture of the mountains. It's like
right here. This area is crazy.
It's like such a powerful cover.
Spider here.
Yeah, that's all his spit. He's every piece that is that size. You get Simone Bianchi DNA. That's how
yeah.
spit, and then he plots it with his thumb, and that's how he gets that splatter effect. It's crazy.
But even the colors, like you getting some brown reds down here with these bluish greens, like it's his own world, man.
Yeah, man. The way he manipulates like light and the way he just like shades like from darker colors into lighters. I think recently he did like a Scarlet Witch that she kind of like looking to the side.
Yep.
That piece is just like wow, you know. Like I couldn't even imagine what that looks like in person because when you watch the video, right, like you're watching it from someone recording it from above, but like in person, like in the flesh, like that's got to be out of control.
No,
here's my giant portfolio that I have to carry around because Simone paints like a madman, so it's huge. And you'll also notice half the stuff doesn't fit because he just whatever. But I'll show you. I know you mentioned the. This was a commission I just had done. I don't think I posted. I think Simone did, but my favorite statue in the whole world is Perseus holding Medusa's head, and it's in Florence. Every time I go, I have a sandwich and I sit under it. I just think it's one of the most beautiful statues in the world. So I asked Simone to marbleize it. So I did. He did Wolverine holding Sabretooth's head with the blade.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, this one is it's a stunner for sure, and definitely in my personal collection. But it's 16 by 20, and like I just don't like. No, it was supposed to be 11 by 17, and he just wanted to keep painting. But I'm trying to find. Yeah, here they are. Let me just turn it around. Here's because when you see them like this, it's better. Oh.
Yeah, those are the prints, right? The original paintings for the prints. That's amazing.
And like this is fine art. It just happens to be comic book characters. You know what I mean? It's a completely different type of take, and he takes much bigger. The one thing I give Simone probably the most credit for is that he takes such leaps with composition. Like when you see like the way he draws Spider-Man in these dynamic, crazy poses, like he's studying like ballet dancers jumping in the air and like doing, and then he'll like freeze his iPad and screenshot it. And then he's like, I always want Spider-Man to be dynamic and like ballet dancers can push their human body and like gymnasts for crazy positions. Yeah. So like he'll do that stuff. And like, that's where he gets his inspiration from. He's not just like drawing Spider-Man. He does like this amazing amount of research before he just like picks a pose and then makes it happen. It's a very cool like process to watch. And I think sometimes people think like they just do it. And like sometimes like, especially Simone Bianchi, he'll do 2 or 3 days worth of research before he starts a cover or like a big commission. Like he just did a Azrael Batman and he read the whole run to make sure that he understood like the character in the background. And then he did it. And like, he didn't just look up one photo and start going. He read the whole book and he was like, I added this in from this issue or this little Easter egg here.
Right.
It's really cool to see when guys really push their limits to a commission. And I think you just said you were getting into commissions, and I believe I'm a very big believer of this. Like I'm a very strong proponent is that I think commissions are going to be they're the next thing. I think they will continue to rise. And I think that more and more you're seeing now is artists are taking high level commissions and then they're submitting them to Marvel or DC to become covers.
Oh, wow.
And it's hard for me to explain, like, okay, John Buscema, Hulk, Sal Buscema, John Buscema, Hulk, like the Hulk pages that he did, there's got to be 1,000 of them. There's a ton of them because he drew for so many years, or like John Romita Jr., Spider-Man. Those pages are getting so expensive now.
Yeah.
They're wild. I'm watching them. They're going. Every auction was a John Romita Jr. Spider-Man page is breaking a previous record of his. And you can get a commission of Spider-Man by him when he opens them up for like 1/3 of what a big DPS or a cover would cost. Yeah. And it's an amazing piece of artwork. And I think for a long time, the original art community, maybe similar to the card community, was like only focused on published work, publish, cover, page. It's starting to open up now where people are realizing I can't pay this price, but I can get something directly from the artist of the exact character I want.
Yeah.
And it's a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
And I always urge people, and you'll hear me on my Make an Offer show, you'll hear me on my CAF interviews that I do with Bill, or whenever I'm at a convention or whatever, like, do not let published or non-published sway you. If you like it and you love it, and you don't let it stop you from buying it because it's not published. Unpublished pieces are going for a ton of money at heritage auctions these days.
Nice.
They're not going for as much as the published ones, but they're going for good money, and they're climbing. And I always say this: it's got to be from the right artist, and it's got to be the right character, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get the same for a Simone as Kitty Pryde as you are for Spider-Man. But if you love Kitty Pryde, and he draws her awesome, like the one he did for one of the card sets where she's like phasing through the wall and the dragon's on her shoulder.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But just because that is published for a trading card to me doesn't make it more beautiful or less, more valuable. It's to me, it's either beautiful art or it's not for you. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be a published cover to be in your collection, in my opinion. And I think a lot more people now, especially the younger generation of collectors, maybe in that 30 to 40-year-old range, because there's guys that have been collecting for years that are 60, 70 years old, that they won't buy anything that's not published. They just believe it's like not good. And I'm like, wait a second, this is beautiful, man. Like, I had 2 covers done. I had 2 commissions done. Addie Granoff, another one of my favorite artists, just an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Like, he's a force. He's unbelievable. And he's doing some of the best work of his career. He's an amazing, him and his wife, she reps him now. Shout out to Tamsin. She has her own repping group. She does her husband, Addie, Jeff Isherwood, and I believe one other artist. And something happened, and one of his friends needed to raise money for one of his friends. His house burnt down, or a comic book shop burnt, or something. I can't remember, but he opened up a commission list for charity, and all of it was going to charity and to help this guy. And I hopped right on it. Like I said, I'm always going to try to outwork everyone. I have alerts set for all of my artists that I follow that I want pieces of. I'm up at 4 in the morning, because that's 10 in the morning in Italy, and I'm paying attention. I'm always trying to make it happen. And I got 2 of them, and they were commissions, and then Addie submitted them to Marvel, and they became published covers. And they're a Spider-Man and a Venom, and for what I paid for them versus what they're worth now, it's insane, just because it became published. And it's like, that doesn't really, hey, it's good for me, right? Cool.
Yeah,
but that doesn't make sense to me. Like, it was beautiful. He did some amazing artwork, and I love them. Now they're published, and people are like, I posted them a couple times, and like, I really didn't get like a ton of love. And then they became covers, and people were like, are these for sale? I'm like, these were like couple months ago, and nobody wanted them because and then the covers came out, and everybody went crazy.
Everybody wants
it. It's like, that just throws me off, because if it's beautiful and it's in your wheelhouse and you like the artist and you like the character, just get a commission, because you can get exactly what you want, and it should make you, and it makes you happy. Like, I'm sure with your Doom CGC and your Doom card, like, I try to say this, and it's so hard to explain, but like, there's no better feeling than like getting a piece of art that you just love. And it's just so cool. It's a very cool feeling.
It makes the rest. Yeah. It kind of makes me enjoy going back to the original thing that brought me into Marvel cards, was the art, right? So getting to pay the artist directly and having a one-of-one piece from them. Even though I probably, I can't afford to get a bunch of covers, but getting a commission. Oh, wow. Look at that. It's amazing.
It's called Oni. It became one of Simone's sketchbooks. He just had a vision, and he wanted to draw a 6-armed samurai, and he did it, and he made it one of his sketchbook covers. And it's published because it's one of his sketchbook covers, but like, this isn't Black Bolt, it's not Dr. Doom, it's not Scarlet Witch. But I saw this, and I was like, holy crap, this is insane art. Like, the Shogun helmet in the back,
Yeah.
Oni means demon in Japanese.
Mhm.
So this is just beautiful art, and it's not a Marvel character or something, but like I think it's his sketchbook volume 2 for 2023. But you can tell he put, and I love like the patch, the other side. He did some like patches to like, create the
Yeah.
arms the way he wanted to. And like, I love samurai shit. Like, I don't know. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I
Looks
love
awesome.
samurai. So like I saw this and I was like, what's this? And he was like, oh, like it's Oni. And I love this. And he even wrote it on the back and he said, I just wanted to do it. And I'm like, well, this is beautiful and I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be a cover or something. I just thought it was awesome. So I got it. And I think more people are starting to come around to the school of thinking that, hey, if I have an opportunity to get my favorite character from one of my favorite artists at a fraction of a published piece price, I strongly urge people to get commissions. I think they are like the wave of the future. And I think more artists are starting to take high level commissions, not just like sketches at conventions or something like that. And they're delivering published work on a commission. So it's a really cool thing. I think I always would urge people to, really take a look at and reach out to your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, it's awesome that artists, they love when people tell them that they love their work and they want to get a commission from them. Like 90% of the artists out there are thankful anytime anybody asks them to do a commission. And it means that somebody's loving your work and like studying and like they sought you out. And it's a really cool experience. And it's cool for me to watch it from when I was on one side of the table to getting commissions to now being on the other and watching people come up and getting to talk to both of the Simones and then getting a commission and coming back 2 days later and being blown away. It's like one of the coolest experiences for me. I just love that part of the business because I can just tell it still happens to me. So I know it. And I know that feeling and how great it feels to when you unbox something, when you get a package in the mail or you pick something up at a convention. And like, I couldn't imagine how you felt, Sergio, when you like found out it was a 9/8. Like it had to be the coolest thing. You found out it came back. Not only was it a great drawing, but it was perfect grade. You know what I mean? Like, it's super dope. And like when you got your Doom card and it had the smears on it, it was something different. Like it had to feel great. And I think that's kind of why we all do this. Yeah, we do it because you can make some money and it's very cool to have collections and show your friends and stuff like that, but it should bring you joy. And like I always tell people, like, I'm a frame collector. I try to put stuff up on the walls because I love seeing it, but I also just like open up my portfolios like once a month. I just love looking at it. I love looking at great stuff. You know, it's a cool feeling.
It is definitely amazing. Well, Matt, we don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, man.
And we didn't get across some of the other topics. I know because we saw some manga. Or what do they sell? Anime sales. So
yeah, they're actually called Doga, anime Doga. And what's really cool about those is that I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, the Z Fighter logo right here. Me and my 4 buddies have them. And like Toonami was a major influence on my life. Like watching Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho and some of those like older school animes, Vampire Hunter D. And then when I started getting a little older, I started watching Naruto, and I just love, like, I'm going to get eventually a Sharingan tattoo. I just don't know where I'm going to put it or what I'm going to do with it. But it's like nostalgia for me to be able to see that, like, because as the anime cells used to be like done and then like painted on a plastic thing. And then it was like, like a cellophane type of deal. And then it was used with what they did with Naruto, because the technology got better, was they did those dogas in pencil and then it was all digitally colored. So those are like the key frames and like images that were used to make that show. And that show brought me a lot of joy. It taught me a lot about life, like life lessons from Naruto. And I started collecting them. And then like out of nowhere, I was just buying them for me. And out of nowhere, Heritage Auctions did a complete auction, all with anime dogas and artwork and stuff like that, and they just exploded.
Oh, I remember some Ghibli stuff going on there.
Oh, dude, crazy. The Ghibli stuff was going for like boku bucks.
Yeah,
and like I think they're super dope. Like I love Kakashi; he's my favorite, and like I have probably like 20 or 30 Kakashi cells that like I just kept for me, and like they're just nostalgic. So I think it's like I said earlier, it's about or we said it, because you were agreeing with me. It's like sometimes you got to step out of your wheelhouse and open up your viewpoint to see some other amazing artwork that's out there. And like I would have never thought to buy Naruto dogas when I first started this, but as I started doing some research, I was like, these are underpriced. Like this is beautiful art. And I was getting them for cheap until that heritage auction happened. Then I started realizing what they had. I was like, oh, I should have bought more of these. Like I actually bought fun. They were really cool.
So that's awesome to hear. And someone like I know about you. I knew about you through the Facebook groups, but getting to hear it and how you started and your fandom and collecting and how you approach it, right? It's awesome. It's awesome to listen to, and we enjoy chatting with you. And if you ever want to come back later on, we're always here to chat. So
I would love to come back on, and we've been talking for 2 hours. I could talk for another 2 hours. This is like my passion. I love it. I think just talking about art, and however many people listen to your podcast, if it's one or you're Joe Rogan, you're spreading like real awareness, and you're talking about real things that are happening like in the community that like kind of nobody wants to talk about, or it's like taboo to talk about, like the AP thing or like whatever, because like everybody has different opinions on it. Like I feel like the world's gotten a little crazy in the last couple of years, and like for some reason people aren't okay with other people not agreeing with them on everything, and like it should be okay for us to talk about it. And like you have your opinion, I have mine. Like we can still be boys. Like we're still friends. Like we just do things differently. And when you asked me to come on, I was honored, and I would definitely love to come back. And side note, I'm thinking about it. It would take up a lot of time, so I haven't really done it yet. But I'm thinking about next year starting my own podcast and doing one a month, and having like an artist on each time. Like
that'd be dope.
Sure. Obviously start off with Simone Bianchi and then do Simone Dimio, but like I've ran it by a couple other artists, like Granoff. Eddie said he would be willing to do it, and like I just want to like I want other people to hear them talk, and to hear them talk about their artwork, because like sometimes we get caught up in it and we don't realize that like they're also human, and they've had like long journeys to get to where they are. Like Addie's life, just real quick, like Eddie Granoff, his life should be a Netflix movie or like a series or something. Like he was pinned down in a war-torn country with like a sniper shooting people that were leaving his building when he was a kid. And he couldn't leave his home, so he started to draw. And he went from being this little kid from, what country was he? Bosnia? I think he might be from Bosnia or something. And he ended up creating the coolest version of Iron Man we've ever seen, and made fucking Iron Man, the movie. He developed the armor. Like he drew it from his mind. And like he's an amazing character. He's an amazing person, and how he's a power lifter, and he loves Porsches, and because he believes like, and we have different, obviously everybody has different viewpoints, but like he believes like it's a different way to look at it. I look at a Porsche, I'm like, wow, sick car. That thing's dope. He's like, this is a feat of engineering. Look at how beautiful it is. Look at it. Like he just has it's an amazing time to talk to Addie. So the more I started thinking about it, I was like, maybe I should start a podcast and just like get these guys on and ask them the same 20 questions, and then let everybody just go, because to talk to Simone or get to hear them, or like to get to talk to you guys and see different viewpoints and stuff, like I just think it would be really cool to understand that like there's also a human aspect to each one of these guys that we really love and that create for us. Because at the end of the day, like, the average collector, I think like that's what keeps them going. That's what keeps them buying their books and all this stuff. And when you get to see like a little bit behind the curtain, and not just the cover, or not just the interior pages, and get to talk to them, it's like a really cool experience. So I've been listening to, your guys' podcast. I love listening to like the Marvel card podcast. Like I just throw them on in the car, because like I always try to learn something, I always try to pick up one thing or something that like, I didn't know before. And I think what you guys are doing is really awesome. And I always say this to like anybody that's doing anything is like, if you're passionate about it, like don't give up, continue to do it. And what you guys are doing is great. You're doing really cool stuff. And I think like there's enough in this hobby for us all to do well, and for us all to eat, and for us all to have really cool things. And I love when I see like the homies doing well. And I think what you guys are doing is really cool. Like I love your guys' Instagram content. Like I always try to, like every photo I can, or like when you guys share stuff, because that's what I like to see on my timeline. I like stuff other than the crazy politics and the wild. I love art stuff.
What's going on right now? So.
Bro, it's the Wild West out there right now. There's some crazy shit going on. So, like when I see like Sergio posting like a beautiful Doom, or like when you're posting your Doom card with the background that you did like on the Dr. Doom like page. Damn, this is fire. I want more of this stuff. Like this is awesome.
Thanks, bro. Yeah.
So I think what you guys are doing is great. And if you would have me back on again, I would love to come back. And maybe next time I could have some stuff like scanned in and like queued up. So maybe I'll be a little bit more prepared for you guys.
We just wanted to have a talk, man. And I think that's like an integral point, because I feel like a lot of people, when they do like these Marvel shows, they focus so much on the camera. And remember, I was like, "Hey, look, I want to turn the cameras off because like we just want to like have a chat, And of course, obviously, I'm glad that you left it open for our viewers' sake. But yeah, man, like listen, to do that podcast, because the hobby needs it. Like me as a 100%. Collector, and other people out there that I know think that are kind of like minded to the way that we think and our way of collecting. They want that content too. So if you do that, for sure, we definitely will show up, because that's that's what excites us, man. And especially if you could do it like, hey, just kind of like we do here, no filter.
That's the way I think that's the best way, I think that's what I like too. Like when I was speaking to you, I was like, is it okay for me to like say my actual opinion, or you want me to say like what I want to say? And like I love it that like you can just talk. Like I love listening to the Joe Rogan podcast and some other stuff like your guys' podcast, because like I just feel like I can absorb something, and it's good to hear how other people view stuff. And it always keeps me on my toes, knowing that like there's always different ways to skin a cat or to get things done. And just chatting with you guys and hearing your perspectives. And, I know you guys are both big, like, Dr. Doom fans. And but it's cool to know that you guys aren't just only Dr. Doom guys, you're art fans. And it's really cool to know that like there's other guys, like you just said, like-minded people. It's really cool to know there's other guys out there. And believe me, I think there's more of us than we know. Just sometimes people are maybe afraid to say it because it's against the way of the rules or the checklist or whatever. And like, it's okay. Just be who you want to be and say what you want to say with respectfully. And it's your right to collect on how you want to collect or do what you want to do. And this hobby is to bring us joy. And if you're going to do it, and you're going to try to stifle somebody's joy, like you said earlier, like think about the person that owns that piece. Like just don't, if you don't like it, just don't say it. Just be to yourself. Like just be cool. Like just be a nice person, and it'll work out.
Just keep it moving. I mean, just focus on what you love.
And I'll end it with this one. I don't have a Simone.
Show me the Sephiroth. Show me the Sephiroth, Matt.
Oh, the Sephiroth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it over here. I got some really cool. I got a bunch of them. I'm like my guilty pleasure is Shikishi boards. I just love them. I think they're cool. So here's Sephiroth.
Oh wow, that's sick.
And then bro, I know like I got. Do you guys ever play Overwatch? You ever play the game?
I played some Overwatch.
Yeah, so
I'm probably more of a gamer in the group.
Like Peach Momoko Farah.
Oh yeah, that's sick.
Like a Vampire Hunter D, another Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah, big fan of the anime.
Who
did the Hunter Ds?
I can't. I just like when I see like those commissions come up, those opportunities for him or for her. I always make sure, but like I'll.
Did you do the funeral car? Was that you with the Peach Momoko funeral car? I need to know.
No, it was not.
Oh my god, that's an amazing piece.
Listen, I reached out and she's like, "No, it's not a print." And I was like, "Fuck,"
So, bro, these are from back in. Remember back in the day when a video game was so long that you had to play it on 3 discs?
Yeah.
The original Final Fantasy
wow.
7 PlayStation with a cloud remark, and it's the original game. And then I got this one because I said I'm a big Naruto fan. So this is from the key animator that like literally created Naruto. And then I love this one. It was like the folder print for the remastered version of Final Fantasy 7. And I just thought this art was just like stunning.
Cloud. Yeah.
And it was like it came inside the edition or whatever, and I had it when I saw Amori was doing like another signing. I was like, I'm gonna send this in, and like I was the guy that sent in like the game. Like, yeah, I'll be like, I still got the game. Like I love that game. So
you just blew me away with the game and the remark, man. That's just ridiculous.
I was just like in like my buddy that does them. Shout out to John Boulderjack. If you're not in his Facebook group, go check it out. It's called Archival Comics, and he's Japan stuff on Whatnot, and he travels to Japan like 10 times a year, like once a month basically, and he gets the hookups for all these amazing Japanese artists and remarks and stuff. Like, so if you're looking for something like that, go check him out. He's very, very trustworthy, takes great care of all of his customers. And then I know that you guys are Fantastic Four fans, so I'll show you. This is what I was going to end it with. I was looking at my folder, I had it on a stand, but here's Alex Ross, Fantastic Four, number 3 cover, fully painted. And like, dude, just look at this art.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It is like mind blowing. And I'm like, look at the houses.
Yeah.
Like there's not one thing on this piece that is just not
the smoke in the background, the darker smoke.
It doesn't even make sense. Like Ross is a true modern master. He's like just unbelievable. So this is one of my personal collections that I just I love the Human Torch, but I didn't own any Fantastic Four covers or anything. When I saw this one come up for sale, I was just I reached out to Sal Abinanti, who reps Alex Ross and Bill Sienkiewicz, and Sal's one of the best in the business, and he took care of me, and I was very happy to have this one. It's just I just have it on a stand, so I just look at it every day.
Yeah, no, man. Thanks for sharing that with us. And please do the podcast. I mean, my current favorite one is the Inkpulp podcast.
Sean Crystal, man, the homie, one of my favorite dudes. The Inkpulp podcast is hilarious.
And the Bianchi episode is amazing too. So if anyone out there is a Bianchi fan, make sure you go check it out.
He's got no filter. No. Just says whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and that's it. And like him and Sean together are perfect because Sean is like that as well. And like another guy, now that I know you like that podcast, like, dude, another guy who's I think gonna be up in the top of the top for the next like 10 years is Matteo Scalera. Yeah, Matteo's art is like mind blowing. He is like getting better and better and better, and he is he's a dynamo. He can crank. Like he works fast, and it's amazing. He's just like a machine. It's absolutely crazy to watch him work, and he's hilarious. He's like the fun. He's the only Italian guy I know that speaks like English better than me. He has no accent. He sounds like he's from here. He just has perfect English. There's no like foreign accent. I always tell him, I'm like, you're American. He gets all mad. You know? But yeah, the Inkpulp podcast actually
they have amazing chemistry, and all three artists too. And I know
that's what made me think of starting doing it, to be honest, because their podcast is just so much fun to listen to.
It's awesome getting to hear like just more about the artists and how they think and them as people too. So yeah, man, we're looking forward to it. Thanks again for coming on with us, and we'll have another chat.
Yeah, man. I would love to come back, and like I said, keep on doing this. I'm always just I'm tuning in, I'm listening. I love this space in this community, and I think there's enough room for us all to do really well, and also all to collect their own way. And the more like shine that this community gets, I think the better. And I've met a lot of amazing people, guys like, including like Sergio said, I saw him at the first time at MegaCon. He came up and he kind of like stumped me. I was like kind of scattered, and I was like, oh man, like Monster of the Iron Mask. Oh yeah, like I know you. Like I felt like I knew him without knowing him, because I'm always trying to, just keep an eye on other amazing people that are posting stuff and have vigilance in collecting and really enjoy it. So it's a pleasure to come on and talk to you guys.
All right,
Sure.
man. Peace.
Yeah, tell that guy start liking the Human Torch, and I'll start liking.
Damn, you should have left that recording still.
Oh,
so
it's
you
still
could've,
recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it. You can use it. It's no problem. I'll just, it's funny because Bill from Comic Art Fans, owner of CAF, is just he loves Cyclops, and like him and I always go back and forth. Like we can't. It's funny, but he's like, "You like Black Bolt? Who likes Black Bolt?" I'm like, "You're right. I don't have any leg to stand on there. I don't. I have no.